Check, check. I am low. Am I even on? Yeah, I'm on. Talking to yours.
Check, check. Meow. Check, check.
Think I'd mess with the settings that much. Check, check,
YouTube's live.
check. Okay, yeah. That's a. Well, I'm also not in the spot where I normally am. This is closer to where I should be talking under normal circumstances. Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
Okay, you talk.
Hello there. Hello.
Okay,
We're
good. I think we're good.
Good.
we're usually a little louder during the when we're actually
Yes.
recording. Well, we are recording now.
Yes, we are.
Hi, guys.
Hello there.
This is true.
This is Jacob.
We're reviewing a live action film tonight, and I forgot to put the chat window up, so if people are talking, I can't
Yes.
tell. There it is. And yeah, it's just Stream Elements saying we're live. So yeah,
It's all good.
we're reviewing Back to the Future tonight.
Let me see if are we live on Facebook? I'm not seeing it yet.
According to Restream, we should be. Yes, we are. It popped up when I opened Facebook.
Okay.
So yeah, and
Yeah.
you've seen we switched things around,
Yeah.
and that's because I'm trying something new to find out if I like it.
Yeah.
Of course,
And
now it's going to be really weird because if I want to mess with Jacob, I'll reach this way, and my hand's on the other side of the screen.
Yeah, that's not scary at all.
That's new and different.
Wrong way.
Close. I think I'm gonna move you over here.
All right.
I'm gonna have to do a lot more rearranging.
Yeah, it's all good.
So yeah, we'll be getting started here in just a moment.
Yeah, let the audience come in. Obviously, we're doing one of the all-time classics of all time. We're doing Back to the Future, one of my favorite films of all
one of
time.
his favorites.
Just a little bit of all.
Just a
this.
touch. Most of that is Jacob's.
Yeah, most of it is.
Only the movie that's on the bookshelf is mine.
Ta-da!
Oh, and the two other movies technically in that set.
Yes.
I just realized that while that's a good place for Stitch, you can't see him through the mic stand.
No, you can't.
Once again, things I will be taking care of. Actually,
Yes.
I think I can fix it now.
Oh, okay.
Hang on.
And he crosses streams. And he puts Stitch on a canister. Most fascinating.
I didn't even see you had this license plate.
Yes. The stuff you get for Christmas every once in a while.
Okay, that's got at least Stitch up in the air.
Yes, you can see him.
Some of the other stuff maybe you can't see, but
It's all good.
that's life. This is Walgreens.
Yeah.
This is not Walgreens.
I hope it's not Walgreens. That would be weird.
It was quoting the commercial. Anyway. I do need to check D-Lit if she is on. Are you here, D-Lit? I don't know
Yes.
why you're upset. You sound fine.
Time continuum stuff.
Oh, I'm glad you think that's good. Anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
I'm behind on releasing episodes.
It happens.
They'll be coming out very quickly.
I am behind on putting art out on, so we're both in the hot seat now.
We, in our defense, we had a very busy weekend.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Down in Houston. Mm-hmm. Where we almost got to see Christopher Lee and Michael J. Fox, but neither one of us were willing to wait in that line.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Like if I was guaranteed a seat,
Yeah, that's
Yes.
a different story.
that's a different story. But to stand in line for 3 hours just for a chance?
Well, see, here's the thing. When I went up to the other panel I decided to go to, because I had a feeling that line was going to be long, I walked past the line, and it was all the way down, from where that General Assembly room was, it went all the way down the hall. I'm thinking, well, yeah, I wouldn't have gotten in there if I tried.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when I went to that Star Trek one the day before, they put our line in another room, and then they walked us down when it was time to go in. Why do they do it there and not for Back to the Future?
That is
they
weird.
think the Star Trek fans would be the bigger bunch.
The rowdy bunch?
No, not the rowdy ones. We're Star Trek fans. We don't get mad until you say Star Wars is better. In our defense. But anyway,
Yeah. I want to make a joke there, but I'm not going to.
make whatever jokes you want.
So yeah, just waiting for the crowd to...
Giving them time. We'll get started here
Yeah.
soon.
Exactly. Huh. Oh, bother.
So,
Yes.
how shall we be entertaining while we're waiting for people to get here?
I have no idea. It has been such a long week.
Yeah.
We did we lose power at the other apartments at any point?
I don't know if we did. None of my stuff acts like we did.
Yeah. I don't either.
That was Tuesday when the bad one was.
Yeah.
No, because if I had, I know for certain the PlayStation here would have yelled at me when I turned it on for turning it off incorrectly,
Yeah.
and it didn't. So
Yeah.
I guess we didn't lose power.
Hi, Stevie.
That being said, so many other people in town lost
Oh
power.
my gosh.
Heck, our church was down Wednesday and yesterday. Though when I drove past it last night on my way home, because I took the long way around because I could, the sign was back on. So maybe the electricity was back on last night.
Oh yeah,
but-
it was.
So at least we will have church on Sunday,
Yes.
unless the storm last night caused trouble.
Yeah. Don't jinx us, dude.
But yeah, and your store was off for what, 24 hours?
24 hours.
That
at
is
least.
nuts.
Yeah, it was not fun. Hi, Ashley.
As you can see, I have returned him in one piece.
Maybe. Ow, my arm. Ow, my arm.
I have fulfilled my contractual obligations as best man.
Wait. Where's my tail? Where's my tail?
You never had one.
Are you sure?
Just because Deedla gives you one every other week doesn't mean you actually
okay.
have one. No, I'm not giving you time. Some of this I'm going to have to actually cut into an episode at some
Yes,
point.
you are. You are going to have to get that into an episode.
This might be the intro for this one. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we'll be getting started
Yeah,
here.
we'll be jumping here in a minute. To talk about glow and gush about one of the greatest films of all time and try to find some nitpick about how...
It's got a couple of nitpicks.
It's got a couple. I agree.
And mostly it's just because it's different.
Yeah.
That's not how it would have been maybe done nowadays.
Right.
Or in one instance, for me anyway, how big is that town? Or more accurately, we'll get to it.
We'll get
to
there.
it.
Yeah.
It's a minor thing because I really don't care. But it was when I was sitting there watching it, trying to think, what am I going to say negative about this film? I go, well, hang on. Logically, why are we using Star Trek Into Darkness rules about space, where the galaxy is this small? I have opinions.
No.
Says the guy with the Star Trek Into Darkness poster on his wall.
Yeah. Right behind our monitor, literally.
But it's a good poster and it was free.
I agree.
I told you how I got that thing.
Yes, you did.
For those of you at home, I have this poster from Star Trek Into Darkness that I won from a trivia contest I was not participating in. Because we went to go see the movie, and afterwards, while the credits were rolling, they started doing this Star Trek trivia contest. Well, me and Mom were just there because this was a smaller town theater. And me and Mom were just trying to watch the thing, and they kept asking the questions, and I would answer them without even thinking. The guy gave up when he was reading the question. It was something to the effect of, when the Enterprise went to, and he tried to read it, and I said, Kronos. But they misspelled it in the movie because they spelled it like the Greek Titan, and it's not how it's spelled in Star Trek. It's spelled QU''NOS. They all got up, and the guy just handed me the poster. It's like, okay, that's one way to win.
Yeah, agreed. That is too funny.
But anyway.
So this should be a fun episode.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
And there isn't a TAS at the end of this because we're taking a short hiatus from that because I had to put the cut somewhere because I didn't want to stop in the middle. Like if there was a cliffhanger episode, this would have happened.
That'd be a nightmare.
This would have happened to land on, especially since if I'm correct in how it's. This is part 1, so it might have been okay. We might have gotten through the Bond's introduction arc before that, but that's beside the point. I wanted us to end in a good, clean spot, and that happens to be a good, clean spot.
Yes.
That's where they ended at end of the first half the first time. So
yes,
we'll come back in August with more Spy Family. You ready to start?
Yes.
Let's get this going.
The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast.
Plus,
joining me today is a man who, he had a run-in with Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan, and now he's got to get married in a couple weeks. Welcome, Jacob.
it's like the weird hippie-like dreams you have every once in a while of a man dressed up as some weird character. And for some reason, I was back in the 1950s. It was weird.
And they called you Calvin.
Yeah. It's not even my name. Stop looking at my underwear, woman. Why? Thank you. And let me introduce my co-host. Why, oh why, did this man... By the way, he's my co-host. The man decide to this oddly, very unwise to steal nuclear material from a terrorist group I do not understand. Welcome, Drew.
I didn't know they were a terrorist group. I thought they were Chekhov and Uhura looking for the nuclear vessels. There's an interesting callback to another podcast for you.
Yes.
Because we haven't reviewed that film on the show yet.
No, at some point we will.
We will have to.
Yes.
Admiral, there'd be whales here. Yes, but why are they wearing a life preserver?
Dork thinks he's going to drown.
George and Gracie are dorkfish. Anyway.
Oh, this is going to be a good episode.
This is going to be a good episode.
Good episode.
If you haven't figured it out yet, tonight we are reviewing, this is a Self-Cast Plus episode, and we are reviewing Back to the Future. And, yeah. It's a good show. It's a fairly decent film.
A fairly... Hold on. Whoa. You said fairly decent in the same sentence as Back to the Future? What is wrong with you, man? This is an epic story.
Question.
What?
If I just finished the phrase Back to the Future with part 3, would you forgive me?
Maybe.
I'm just saying it's the weakest of the 3.
Are we talking the third is the weakest? Or
the Western, yes.
The Western. Oh, okay.
Part 3.
I'd be like,
we're not talking about all 3. We're only talking about the first one.
We're only talking about the first one.
We probably could have gone all 3.
No, good night. No, we'd be here all freaking night.
Well, we're not doing a Spy Family ep review,
That is
so we
true,
have the
but-
time.
Yeah, no.
But no, we're not doing that. We're
Yeah,
just reviewing the first one.
Let's go back, get in the DeLorean. Like, where'd you park that thing again?
It's next to the Cybertruck.
Oh gosh, that thing's gonna be like it's gonna get rusted out just sitting next to the truck.
No, the truck may catch on fire.
Yeah, that is true. And let's
Actually, I don't think there's any record of Tesla Cybertrucks catching on fire.
either or. Let's hop in the DeLorean. Hopefully, someone's not messed with the flux capacitor and go back in time and let's do this review again. Where we're reviewing all three of them, but again, for someone didn't put any plutonium in it.
What do you mean the Mr. Plutonium is out?
Mr. Fusion.
Whatever, Mr. Fusion. In our universe, it's Mr. Plutonium.
Whatever.
Whatever. You're saying the parts are on back order again? You need to quit using Space Amazon. It's obviously not working.
Yeah.
Oh, but they have stuff you can't find anywhere else. Well, gee, I guess that works. Well, it's not Space Amazon's fault, is it? It's Space FedEx, isn't it? Oh, yeah, I know it. Okay, moving on.
Blame it on the shipping companies.
Anyway, shall we get into the spoiler-free section of our review?
Yes.
Certified fresh and spoiler-free.
I don't know how many times I've watched this film, but here is a fun fact. Do you know what my first viewing happened to be paired with?
I have no idea.
It's a movie we've actually already reviewed.
That's a lot of movies.
I know it
I'm
is.
just saying. Bro, that's a lot of movies.
The first time I watched this film
Yeah.
was right after watching Batman Mask of the Phantasm.
Really?
Yeah. I was a kid. I was really excited about Batman Mask of the Phantasm.
Of course.
Because, it's Batman the Animated Series movie. Of course I'm excited. Mm-hmm. And I watched, me and a friend watched that. And then after that, I was like, oh, let's just let's watch the next movie we rented. Because, rental.
Mm-hmm.
And we watched, and the next movie was Back to the Future. And I think I was a little too jazzed from Batman. And I don't remember paying attention to that viewing of the film. I would eventually, of course, watch it a couple other times because this is a very good film.
Yes.
Along with the 2 sequels.
Yes.
But yeah, that's the story of my first viewing. I really wasn't paying attention because I was focused on, I just saw an animated Batman film. Yay!
Oh, okay.
But yeah, this is a great film. If you, for some reason, and I have to say for some reason, because I actually knew a guy who did not watch this film until a couple years ago.
That's fair.
But still, it's like, how are you a film? Because he's a film fan. He's one of these people who loves watching films. He's seen a ton of them, and he somehow hadn't seen Back to the Future.
It happens.
I know it happens, but it's weird.
Agreed.
That's all I'm saying. But yeah, if you for some reason haven't seen this film and are wondering, should I watch it? Yes.
Yes.
That's an easy one.
and-
Yes. You don't even have to listen to the full review. Just watch this film. It's done so well. Every time I watch this, I catch something else.
Yeah, agreed.
But anyway, yeah. What are your thoughts on one of your favorite films of all time?
This was a movie that I remember from a very early age watching. I remember my dad, we watched it on television back in the early 90s. And my dad, being a movie buff, be like, he loves movies. And still to this day, still loves movies. Mm-hmm. So we watched it, and I was enthralled with this thing. I was like, oh my gosh, amazing. I was probably 7, 8 years old, and watched it. We recorded off television. I watched that thing in loops. Part 1, part 2, part 3. Now, granted, you're playing this off of VHS. It's so degraded. It's not funny.
Yeah.
But
that's part of the reason why we keep seeing new things, is now we're watching it in crystal clear Blu-ray and actually are seeing things in the background.
Exactly. So this was a movie, and my brothers and my family can contest, or can, am I saying the word contest?
Contest, yeah.
Yeah, contest to it, that I literally would watch the movie. I could literally turn my back and quote the film when I was a lot younger. Now, as an adult, not so much. I could do it if I tried, but I'm one of those guys that be like, I've watched this movie, I've studied this film, I have loved this film so much that I know the movie in and out. It's literally, when I watched it for this review, I put it on, put the commentary on by both Bobs, and watched it, looked up, did my own thing, knew what was happening, exactly per scene, verb beat, everything. It's one of these films I absolutely love to death. It is cinematic perfection, as close as you can get perfection when it comes to a film.
Yeah.
Granted, it does have little things, but as Bob Zemeckis once said, be like, you're not supposed to pay attention to that. You'd be like, it's just a thing. But
That is the thing, is probably most of our dislikes are us digging for things.
oh yeah, so this movie is so iconic to me. It is. I don't say it shaped me as a movie reviewer or someone who loves movies. But it took my love, because I think two of my favorite films of all time are science fiction. Back to the Future, Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan, and Frequency. And if
Okay.
you've never seen Frequency, go see this film. It is amazing. I think right now it's on Netflix. I might be wrong. But I have such a fun, like, it is so hard for me right now not to just scream from the top of the lungs and be like, it gets this number. And if you're any lower, you're a fool. Which I would never do that. That's just like the impulsivity of like,
Right.
I love this movie.
Oh, I have a temptation, but we'll get there.
Oh gosh. No, I am not Copernicus.
I didn't say that. I don't even know what that's a reference to, but I definitely didn't say it.
Dog. Copernicus.
You mean Einstein?
Yes. And Copernicus.
When is he Copernicus? Because it's been a while.
55. He's Copernicus in 55.
I guess I didn't catch that
Yeah.
the dog
Yeah,
was
Einstein.
named the dog who would. It's not the same dog.
No,
Well,
it's not.
It is the same dog, but it's not meant to be the same dog.
Right,
'Cause I'm
right.
fairly certain it's the same dog.
It probably is the same dog.
So many of them are the same people, just with or without makeup. Why wouldn't it just be the same dog?
Agreed.
But why don't we just go ahead and jump into the spoiler-filled section of our
Yes.
review?
Yes.
The following is a spoiler-filled... No, hang on.
Let him think.
The following is... Hang on. Following is a spoiler-filled review. Okay. The following is a spoiler-filled review. Fall back to the few. This is not a good version of Johnny Be Good.
No, it's not.
Oh, well. The following is a spoiler-filled review for the movie Back to the Future. Listener discretion is advised. Sorry, my joke died. I'm going to leave all that in, too.
Yes, leave it.
Back to the Future, Part 1, even though that's not officially Part 1,
No.
was written and directed by Robert Zemeckis, who also directed Forrest Gump. Mm-hmm. It was also written by Bob Gale.
Both Bobs.
Getting into the cast, we got Michael J. Fox as Marty McFly, who also played Scott Howard in the movie Teen Wolf.
Awoo!
Christopher Lloyd as Doc Brown, who also played Judge Doom in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
And you're not mentioning he was in a Star Trek film.
No, I wasn't.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of restraint.
It's from Wrath of Search for Spock.
Yeah, it's a good film.
Honestly, I really should mention that he plays Commander Krug in Star Trek III: The Search for Spock. Do you want to know why?
Why?
Because the Klingon bird of prey that was his, that they stole pretty much from him after Kirk kicked him into that lava world. Spoilers. They end up going back in time with. So
Yeah.
if
It's tied together.
if this movie had been made after Back to the Future, because Voyage Home was not made back to the Future.
You
It was
mean
made
Search
before.
for Spock?
No, I mean Voyage Home,
Oh.
because that was the version of the ship they went back and was in Voyage Home. And they went to go save the whales.
Yes.
But I still would have made sure there was a flux capacitor somewhere on that stupid Klingon bird of prey. Just somewhere. It doesn't have to be
Yes.
visible. Just
Yeah.
there's a bunch of triangular wires in a triangle on the back
Yeah.
somewhere. Also, here's a fun little fact. Do you know what happens if you go to O'ReillyAutoParts.com and search for item number 121?
You find a flux capacitor.
You find a flux capacitor. I don't know if you can actually buy it, but
You can.
either way.
It's a replica. Obviously.
Leah Thompson played Lorraine Baines, a.k.a. Marty's mom.
Yes.
And she played Beverly Switzler in Howard the Duck.
Oh, jeez.
And we'll not talk about what she did to that duck in that movie.
No. Oh, my gosh. Leah Thompson, probably one of my favorite actors, probably had the biggest crush on her as a kid, so just saying.
Crispin Glover played George McFly. Mm-hmm. And in the movie Twister, he played Howdy.
Wait,
I don't even know who Howdy is. I just thought, oh, he was in Twister. He played a character named Howdy. That's funny.
Huh. I'm going to go back and rewatch that. Look for
Howdy.
Howdy. Yeah.
Tom Wilson
Yes.
played Biff Tannen. And in something called The Heat, he played Captain Woods. And I say something because I've never heard of this, but it was the only thing in that, on IMDb where it says known for. It was the only thing up there that was not Back to the Future.
Okay. Yeah,
Because it was Back to the Future 1, Back to the Future 2, Back to the Future 3, The Heat. It's like, what on earth is The Heat? Got to be a cop movie.
it is. I've heard about it, and I want to watch it. It's one of those movies that's watch, but I haven't watched it.
Kingdom Hearts connections. How many do we have?
Well, I know of one.
Mm-hmm.
3.
Yes, you actually got it right. First time.
Hello there.
Starting off with the one you know.
Yeah.
Christopher Lloyd, who is of course Doc Brown in this.
Mm-hmm.
Starting in the Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind DLC and in Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory, he is the voice of Master Xehanort, aka the main villain of the games.
Yes.
Except you wouldn't know that until like halfway through the games. But beside the point. Tony Pope was the 1985 radio announcer in Back to the Future.
Yes.
And he was Geppetto in Kingdom Hearts. And then Billy Zane, who was in his first role in this film as Match. Mm-hmm. And he is the voice of Ansem in Kingdom Hearts.
Oh.
The main villain of the first game. And technically, once you go through the whole spaghetti, also Master Xehanort.
Wow. Okay, that's not complicated at all, isn't it?
You want me to get into it?
No,
I can.
we don't. We don't have time for that with this episode.
I'll make it short.
No.
No, it'll be really short. So, Master Xehanort, at the time being played by Leonard Nimoy, somehow moved his soul into the character of Terra, who was one of the playable characters in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. At that point, the character became known as Terra Xehanort because it was a combination of the two characters. And then that guy got turned into a Heartless, and he stole the name of the king of the place where he was, which is actually Kyrie's father, the name Ansem. See, I told you to be short and sweet.
25 seconds.
Not bad.
Not bad, really.
Except I didn't explain a cotton-picking thing.
You didn't. Because that game is overly complicated about everything.
But it's a great complication.
yes, it is.
It's what happens when you write everything as you think of it.
Yes, agreed.
Writing by the seat of your pants. What do we have in info and stuff?
All right. So it is available to watch on Amazon Video for $3.98. It has a very weird. I don't know where IMDb got this score, but a 6.1. Really weird.
That is odd.
Yeah, Rotten Tomatoes is even weirder. It's a 48%. Production was Atlantic Releasing Corporation and Wolfkill Productions. Distribution by Atlanta Releasing Corporation.
Hang on. There's something about this that does not sound right.
Yeah. Are you sure? We're reviewing Teen Wolf, right?
No, we are not reviewing Teen Wolf.
Oh man.
I was like, there's something that's not right here because Atlantic Releasing. I actually don't know if that's connected to MCA, who owned Universal at the time. Try it again, Jingle Bells.
You're welcome, PaulJPowers.com. All right, starting from the top. You can watch it on. You can. It is available to watch for $3.99 on Amazon Video. Hold on, give me a second. Yes, just keep talking.
He's actually looking up the right information.
Yes.
Because for some reason he didn't put it in his Google Doc.
I thought I did, but it didn't.
So he's going to imdb.com to look this information up. I don't know where to go from that to keep the song going.
You're fine. You're fine. It'll bring it up in a second. Oh, there we go. It has an IMDb score of 8.1.
Ah, that sounds much better.
Yeah, just a little bit better. Just a little bit. Because in my, what I called my spoof info and stuff, I just forgot to finish it.
It happens.
Yeah, so Rotten Tomatoes, it has a score of 93. It's produced by Amblin.
Amblin.
Thank you. I always get that.
It's like the word ramblin'.
Yeah, Amblin.
That's literally where the name comes from.
Amblin Entertainment, distributed by Universal Pictures, has a runtime of 116 minutes. Was released on July 3rd, 1985, going into box office. It had
Very good year.
Yes, very, like, movie wise, be like bangers came out in 85. And this movie came out.
Why I said it was a very good year.
Oh, because you were born in
I
85?
was born that year.
You were born that year. It's like, well, big movies came out in 85, and, this goober was born that same year.
The big shows all came out in 1985.
Oh, my gosh. All right, so it had a budget of $19 million. Its opening weekend on July 7th here in the United States and Canada was $11.1 million. Its domestic gross was $214 million. Its international gross was $384.5 million. Where do you think in 1985 this movie ranked in the overall of movies in 1985?
That's a toughie because you had so many other actually big movies come out. Because this was also the same year as Jedi, wasn't it?
I have to look that up.
I think it is.
Hold on.
It's not important if it is. I'm just thinking
keep
it
going.
is. As I'm assuming Jedi would actually be up there just because of popularity of Star Wars at the time.
I'm getting all my information from Box Office Mojo.
I'm going to guess 3.
Close. The number 3 spot actually went to Rambo: First Blood Part 2.
Okay.
Followed closely by Beverly Hills Cop. Haven't seen that film. But number 1 for the year 1985 was Back to the Future.
See, I was just thinking, there's no way it's number 1.
Oh.
I don't know why, but I was just thinking, there's no way it's number 1.
Yes. It was that bad at popular.
I was wrong.
Yeah, it happens. All right, home release. Back to the Future was released on VHS on May 22nd in 1986. Priced at, get this, $97.95 as a rental, becoming the first film to sell 150,000 units at that price point. $79.
Yeah. Because it actually costs that. The
Yeah, it
production
did.
of the VHS tapes is what drove that price up.
Oh yeah.
That's not pure profit.
Oh
folks.
yeah. Oh, I know that. It's just like, jeez.
The machines at that time were like
Oh,
$400
yeah.
or $500.
Oh yeah, easy.
And they would mess up on you.
They would. They would eat a VHS, and that was terrifying.
Yes.
Definitely if you rented it from Blockbuster.
Or any movie rental store
Yeah,
for that matter.
exactly. All right, so, and it was also the most rented cassette VHS of the year. A sequel was not planned until after Back to the Future's theatrical release, and the to be continued graphic was applied to the end of the home video release to promote the awareness of the future films.
Interestingly enough, the to be continued graphic was not on my copy.
Really?
Really, it went straight from, the DeLorean going back to the future. Pardon the pun.
Going into the future.
Yeah, well, it's going back because Doc had come back from the future. But anyway, beside the point. And then it went straight into the director's credit, which is wasn't expecting that. But anyway,
all right. So when Back to the Future was released on DVD in 2002, which I own, the graphic was removed because Gale and Zemeckis wanted to be faithful to its in-theater experience. It debuted on Blu-ray in 2010 for the film's 25th anniversary. The release featured a 6-part documentary including interviews with the cast, crew, behind-the-scenes footage, deleted scenes, associated music videos for all 3 films. The release also included a public debut of footage of Schultz's performance as Marty McFly. For the 35th anniversary in 2020, a remastered 4K Ultra HD version was released on Blu-ray and Ultra HD Blu-ray, along with extras including previous releases. This edition includes audio footage, audition footage, and an exploration of the film's props hosted by Gale, a limited edition steelbook cases, and a display replica of the hoverboard from Back to the Future 2 was also available, which I really wish I would have got the steelbook. That would have been freaking epic.
mm-hmm.
Maybe in a couple of years they'll release that. Maybe, most likely. Sequels obviously is Back to the Future Part 2 and 3. There have been speculations for decades now that they will do a 4, and most likely Gale and Zemeckis refuse to do it. I've heard people say, "Oh, they've agreed to do it." No, they're not.
They don't want to.
They don't want to.
That's what it comes down to.
Because
they don't need a better reason. They just don't want to.
Yeah, they have the exclusive rights to the film. Mm-hmm. Like, yes, Universal owns the film, but they have the right to the script. So
and the rights to the universe.
Yeah, rights to the universe and everything. So literally, if Universal wanted to do another Back to the Future film, it would literally, you can't use anything that's related to Back to the Future. Except the title.
Then brings a couple of interesting things into play.
Yes.
Such as the Back to the Future game that Telltale put out. The Back to the Future
ride?
Levels and Lego Dimensions. The Back to the Future ride. Yeah. It's like, did they have to get permission for that?
Yes.
Or is that tied in with your licensing for the movie?
No, because it's a dual license.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, so they got paid pretty good money off that too.
Oh yeah. Zemeckis and Gale both be like, they had to sign off on everything.
Yeah. All right.
Because they both are writers for it, and so they won't release it unless they approve of it.
Alrighty.
All right. So that is all I have for info and stuff.
Let's get into the summary then.
Yes.
In 1985, once again, very good year. In 1985, teenager Marty McFly lives in Hill Valley, California, with his depressed, alcoholic mother Lorraine, his older siblings, who are professional and social failures, and his meek father George, who is bullied by his supervisor Biff Tannen. After Marty's band fails a music audition, he confides in his girlfriend, Jennifer Parker, that he fears becoming like his parents despite his ambitions. That night, Marty. I know. That night, Marty meets his eccentric scientist friend, Emmett Doc Brown, in the Twin Pines Mall parking lot. Doc unveils a time machine built from a modified DeLorean powered by plutonium he swindled from Libyan terrorists. After Doc inputs a destination time of November 5th, 1955, the day he first conceived his time travel invention.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, you were trying to tell me you needed to cough or something.
I'm just running through. Go ahead.
The terrorists arrive unexpectedly and gun him down. Marty flees in the DeLorean, inadvertently activating time travel when he reaches 88 miles per hour. Coincidentally, that's 142 kilometers per hour. Arriving in 1955, Marty discovers that he has no plutonium and he cannot return to 1985. While exploring a burgeoning hill valley, Marty encounters his teenage father and discovers Biff was bullying George even then. George falls into the path of an oncoming car while spying on the teenage Lorraine changing clothes.
He's a peeping Tom.
And Marty is knocked unconscious while saving him. He wakes to find himself tendered to by Lorraine, who becomes infatuated with him. Marty tracks down and convinces a younger Doc that he is from the future, but Doc explains the only source available in 1955 capable of generating the power required for time travel is a lightning bolt. Marty shows Doc a flyer from the future that documents an upcoming lightning strike at the town's courthouse. As Marty's siblings begin to fade from a photo he is carrying with him, Doc realizes Marty's actions are altering the future and jeopardizing his existence. Lorraine was supposed to tend to George instead of Marty after the car accident. Early attempts to get his parents acquainted fail, and Lorraine's infatuation with Marty deepens. Lorraine asks Marty to the school dance, and he plots to feign inappropriate advances on her, allowing George to intervene and rescue her. But the plan goes awry when Biff's gang locks Marty in the trunk of the performing band's car. While Biff forces himself onto Lorraine, George arrives expecting to find Marty, but is assaulted by Biff. After Biff hurts Lorraine, an enraged George knocks him unconscious and escorts the grateful Lorraine to the dance. The band frees Marty from their car, but the lead guitarist injures his hand in the process, so Marty takes his place, performing while George and Lorraine share their first kiss. With his future no longer in jeopardy, Marty hurries to the courthouse to meet Doc. Doc discovers a letter from Marty warning him about the future and Rip's worried about the consequences. To save Doc, Marty recalibrates the DeLorean to return 10 minutes before he had left the future. The lightning strikes, sending Marty back to 1985, but the DeLorean breaks down, forcing Marty to run back to the mall. He arrives as Doc is being shot. While Marty grieves at his side, Doc sits up, revealing he pieced Marty's note back together and wore a bulletproof vest. He takes Marty home and departs to 2015. Let me back up and say that in a much more funny way. He takes Marty home and departs to the distant future of 2015 in the DeLorean. Marty wakes the next morning to discover his father is now confident and successful science fiction author. His mother is fit and happy, his siblings are successful, and Biff is a servile valet in George's employ. As Marty reunites with Jennifer, Doc suddenly reappears in the DeLorean, insisting that they return with him to the future to save their children from terrible fates. What none of them know is that another strange time thing will be occurring, and the character of Jennifer will look entirely different in all the coming movies.
Oh, brother.
Because of scheduling conflicts.
It was more her... No, yeah, you're right.
Pretty much scheduling conflicts is what I heard.
Scheduling conflicts.
This is not a Kirstie Alley situation where she priced out of the range of the movie makers. Anyway, as you said before, the rights to the film and its sequels are owned by Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale. In a 2015 interview, Zemeckis maintained that no reboot or remake of the film would be authorized during his or Gale's lifetime. Writers Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis actually received a fan letter from none other than John DeLorean after the film's release, thanking them for immortalizing his car. In 2010, during a cast reunion, Michael J. Fox said that strangers still call him McFly constantly. Fox said that the most remarkable instance was when he was in a remote jungle in the South Asian country Bhutan, located between China and India in the eastern Himalayas. A group of Buddhist monks passed him, and one of them looked at Fox and said, "Marty McFly!" Apparently, Ronald Reagan was amused by Doc Brown... Back up. Apparently, Ronald Reagan was amused by Doc Brown's disbelief that an actor like him could become president, so much so that he had the projectionist stop and replay the scene. He also seemed to enjoy it so much that he even made a direct reference to the film in his 1986 State of the Union address. As they said in the film Back to the Future, "Where we're going, we don't need roads." Biff's catchphrases of "make like a tree" and "get out of here" and "butthead" were actually improvised by Tom Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
When the movie was previewed for a test audience, Industrial Light and Magic had not completed the final DeLorean in-flight shot, and the last several minutes of the movie were previewed in black and white. It didn't matter, as the audience roared in approval of the final scene anyway. When Lorraine follows Marty back to Doc's house, she and Doc exchange an awkward greeting. This marks the only on-screen dialogue that Christopher Lloyd and Leah Thompson ever have, even though they have appeared together in 6 movies.
Mm-hmm.
The DeLorean was deliberately selected for its general appearance and gull-wing doors in order to make it plausible that people in 1955 would presume it to be an alien spacecraft.
That makes sense.
Musician Mark Campbell did all of Michael J. Fox's singing. He is credited as Marty McFly. Mark was perhaps best known as the lead singer of popular 1980s band Jack Mack and the Heart Attack.
Okay.
I've never even heard of them. I probably know a song, but outside of the ones in this movie, obviously,
Right.
but I hadn't heard of them. Doc Brown refers to gigawatts of electricity. This is a now obscure but once standard pronunciation of the word gigawatt, or which is 1 billion watts. Nowadays, it is usually pronounced with the hard G. In Romance languages, however, it was pronounced with a soft G.
I've also heard it was where Zemeckis and Gale were talking to experts about gigawatts, and they heard it gigawatt. And they heard it as, or 1 point gigawatt. They heard it as gigawatt, and that's what they ran with.
Right. But in all honesty, the only reason the giga is the now common pronunciation of that prefix is because of computers, because of the gigabyte.
That makes sense.
So that's all that.
Yes.
So, Jacob, this is one of your favorite films
Yes.
of all time.
Yes, it is.
What is the first thing you like about this film?
This film, get my notes, is epic in storytelling. It is one of these films that has the kind of story that comes out of this wonder. Would I would I hang out with my dad back when he was a kid? And Bob Zemeckis drew from the idea, no, because he was a dork. He was the president of the president of the class, and like the guy you really want to beat up. And he's like, no, I wouldn't like him. And so the entire premise of this movie is just like, what if? And it is so wonderfully made. It is so well crafted as a story that you get so invested in Marty McFly's journey from seeing his best friend Doc Brown get shot to going back in time, his wonder, his awe, his fear of what what has happened, and the younger version of Doc trying to guide him through this new landscape of time and time travel, and what time travel means, and what consequences of that, like the ripple effect of time. Be like the fact to be like you could be erased from existence from simply just running into your parents.
Yeah.
And having your mother have the hots for you, which is still the weirdest part of this film. And it's still the weirdest, but I think it's the most brilliant thing in this film, because when they were pitching the movie, no one would touch it. Not even Disney would touch it.
Yeah.
And so Universal with Steven Spielberg just said, okay, we'll give it a shot. But this movie, with the grand storytelling that Bob Gale and Zemeckis give this movie, with the amount of detail, the amount of just enough exposition to get you hooked in every scene, it just clicks. Every scene, every single scene has purpose, has design, has flow. Everything about this story just fits. And there are other films that do the same quality, but when it comes to storytelling, this movie is almost unmatched in sophistication, to storytelling, to exposition to dialogue to everything, to the fact to be like they go in and the 1950s, the 1955s, they go in and use the proper language. It's not, oh, this kid from the 80s, everybody talks like from their 80s. No, they talk like they're from the 50s and maybe the 40s. But at the same time, this movie is so well done. And yes, like the idea of, like, you do have the butterfly effect, where it'd be like, if you do something in the past, it will ripple into your future. And it is so well done. Now, granted, people can nitpick this movie apart all they want, but for me, the storytelling is so grandiose. It is so well done and so epic that it is my number one. It is just a amazing storytelling that I don't think was ever going to be matched. So yeah, that is my number one, storytelling.
My number one is the on-screen chemistry between Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox.
Oh, yeah.
They are so in tune with each other. Granted, I still don't know why Marty McFly is friends with Doc Brown. I am always been curious how they got together. But they are so good on screen together that even when he's meeting back up with him, like in the past, it's like there's not even like there should be in some ways like awkwardness on Doc Brown's part, but there's not. Yeah, it's like because they're perfectly matched for each other.
Yeah,
and the actors do just such a good job. Some of my favorite lines from this film are just stuff from them going back and forth at each other.
Oh, yeah.
Like when Doc Brown runs off because he finds out it's going to be impossible because he has no way of producing 1.21 gigawatts. And Marty just runs off going, "What the hell is a gigawatt?" Which was my question at that age, too. I don't know what a gigawatt is. Or so many other like little things like every time when Marty says something is heavy, which only does it twice in the film. I thought it was more times than that.
Yeah, he does it twice.
And Doc Brown only commented on it twice. I thought they did it more.
No, it was twice.
Or he did it more. And I remember thinking, I don't know why you're saying things are heavy either, but then again, this is not my generation of slang, so of course I don't know it. But I love Doc Brown's guessing as to what heavy could mean. It's like, is there something wrong in the future with the Earth's gravitational field? Why on earth would Marty know this? Because to him, it would just be normal. No, heavy's just a thing that they say when they're overwhelmed, apparently.
Yeah.
Or feeling the enormity of the situation. But it's just that back and forth between the two. It's like, I understand why the creators of Rick and Morty used this relationship as their template for their show. Granted, I can't watch their show because it's too disgusting.
Yeah.
But I know why they picked this was the template for their two characters, because it is perfect. They're they're not an odd couple, but they're very much they're not your standard comedic duo. They're not your odd couple. They're not your Abbott and Costello or your and I just lost the other one I was thinking of. But they are perfect because they bounce. Their chemistry is so good that it's all and it meshes so well. It's just, you're going to have a good time when both of them are on screen.
Agreed. And what I understand, kind of bouncing off your thought, is remember like Bob Gale, he mentioned once where that people always ask him like, why in the world do you have this old man and this teenager hanging out? It was more that you have Marty, who's just a more curious teenager, and he just likes hanging around with people. And you have Doc Brown, who has spent his entire life, his entire family fortune, trying to create inventions. And this teenager walks up and just is enthralled by all his inventions, and they wind up having this very fond relationship with each other. This very not weird, odd, nothing weird.
No, it's not like that.
No, it's just like they're friends. They're friends. They have a mutual love for cool stuff. And Marty thought it was cool. And it was like, okay, So he's hanging out with Doc Brown. That's why Strickland says, be like, Brown is nothing but trouble.
So I have a theory,
Okay.
a time travel theory,
Okay.
that technically even I can already see the hole in this theory, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Okay.
Could it be that Doc knew who Marty was when he met him? Remember that he was the kid he helped in 1955.
Yeah, there is that theory. There's
There's a big hole in that theory in the fact that why would Doc have allowed him to go back into the... Well, I can kind of say that, but why would Doc not then make sure that plutonium was in the car? Or like a couple of other things that should have happened. But then you run into that problem when you get to when Marty comes back and Doc's doing the same thing. So anyway,
Yeah.
I get it. He's still protecting the time stream, even though he's technically massaging it a little bit.
Yeah, just a little
But-
bit.
Anyway,
Yes.
what's your second like?
My second like would be the score by Alan Silvestri.
This is one of Alan Silvestri's best scores.
Oh, yeah, you're not kidding. It's like, I remember as a kid watching this, and they're like, the score is just like, it's not one of these, it's not synth, it's not drum beat, like drum kits or anything.
It's orchestral.
It's
And
orchestral.
It sounds good. I don't know
They
why
weren't doing that in the 80s.
I don't know. I know why they... The problem with synth has always been that it dates it immediately.
It does.
Orchestral can date it sometimes, but it like fares better.
Yeah. Because
Plus, this stuff I can listen to in the car.
yeah, because you take the soundtrack from, like, I don't know, RoboCop.
Yeah.
It's synth. And be like, that was the craze of the 1980s. And so
And before anyone judges us, there's nothing wrong with synth.
no, there's not.
But this sounds so good, especially in contrast to the synth, is what we're saying.
Yes. And the fact that me and my fiance went and saw this in theaters, the first one in theaters, I freaking geeked out.
I imagine. She had never seen it before.
Yeah, I'd never seen it in theaters. And Ashley, to this day, be like, he's quoting the movie the entire time. Be like, I can't help it. With a bunch of other geeks who love this film, with a bunch of other movie nerds.
See,
yes.
That's the thing. When there is a movie you love and you've seen to death,
Yes.
you can't stop yourself from quoting the film while it's going
No,
on.
no,
because
no.
immediately you fall into that groove. He tasks me, and I shall have him. I'll chase him round the moons of Nibia and around the Antares maelstrom and round perdition's flames before I give him up. Prepare to alter course. I can do the same frickin' thing.
Because we went and saw
Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, and I did it the whole frickin' time.
Same here.
And I'm sitting there going, I should shut up. I should shut up, but I cannot.
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my gosh, yes. The soundtrack, it's literally, I can put it on and it throws me right into the movie. It throws me right into the scene. And every time, and it's so brilliant. It's orchestral. It's something they were not doing in the 80s anymore. This was they did that back in the 50s.
The only other thing that was kind of doing this at the time was Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars. The only one that was
John
doing
Williams was pulling this off, and Alan Silvestri says, well, if he can do it, why can't I?
Yeah, because you had movies like Indiana Jones
Also doing it.
So you just had this.
So it was coming back into vogue, and it
Yes.
would be very much popular in the 90s. But this was at that time when synth, it was still heavy,
Oh, yeah.
especially in science fiction films, which this was.
Yes. But just the soundtrack is so gorgeous. Like, I remember as a kid listening to it. I'd be like, I'd watch the movie and you start paying attention to other things. You listen to the soundtrack. It's just like, oh my gosh. That just like the opening, the point where like introduction to the DeLorean, to Doc Brown, to when they go back in time, to all of these amazing moments. And it's all just like this earworm candy. You hear it and boom, you go back to that scene.
Yeah.
It's not like most of like the movies nowadays, like with the Avengers, be like the only thing you
I
really
love how you went straight to another Alan Silvestri score.
well, yeah, but it'd be like it's really hard to match up with what he did with Back to the
Yeah,
Future,
it's
which
a-
I wasn't aware. Be like, yeah, he did do.
He
Avengers.
did do Avengers, but it was still very much he had the same problem most MCU scores have, in that more than likely the director Joss Whedon.
Just
I
we.
had to stop and think who he was. It was Joss Whedon. More than likely, he had already sound kind of picked for pacing the scene, and then he had to match that. The fact that we have the Avengers theme at all is kind of amazing.
Yeah, agreed. It's so more nowadays. Be like it's more like pick and choose little bits of a scene of a sound of a music you like. But when you have the soundtrack of Back to the Future, and like any music nut who loves music or loves soundtracks, be like you're that one tune is going to get you right into where you are. One like where most of it's be like, oh, that reminds me of this movie. This, it brings you right back to that moment in the film, and you're quoting it verbatim.
What I love about the score is the simple fact that you can't say this about every movie,
No.
but all you have to play is that first note, and I can tell you the name of this. I can tell you what movie it is. Boom. Back to the Future. Bing. Star Wars. There's not many you can say
No,
that
there's
about.
not. There's not.
That's Star Trek.
Exactly.
Oh, that's Inception.
Oh my gosh. I still need to watch this episode. I haven't seen
You've
it. No, I haven't seen it yet. I know. Just tear me apart for not seeing
No,
the film.
I'm not tearing you apart. It's just, Inception is one of those coming soon.
Coming
on,
soon.
on another episode of the Cellcast Plus, Inception, because I want to see your mind break. No, your mind won't break, but it's one of those I watched and go.
Hold on. Are we talking? Hold on. No, I'm talking Inception. I've seen.
Yeah,
I'm
I was
sorry.
about to say, 'cause I thought everyone had seen Inception.
I've seen Inception. It was what was the other one that the director did? It was
So many.
no, not
Nolan.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan. We're talking about the one
Talking
with,
about the Interstellar.
Interstellar. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah,
Not as good.
yeah.
Good,
yeah,
but not as
Inception is good. Oh my gosh!
yes,
I watched it a couple
Inception is
years
good.
ago.
It's
yeah,
like-
so good.
I'm still going, how have you not seen Inception? I thought everyone and their dog had seen Inception because it was the movie of the frickin' year, the year that came out.
Yes, so good. But anyways,
Yeah.
the soundtrack to this movie is just so. Again, it's so hard to break away from this film and try to be objective about this film. And
Yeah.
it's so incredibly hard for me. It's like watching Tangled or watching Anastasia or something like that.
Yeah.
One of those films. Be like, I know. Be like, we recently did Anastasia.
And we technically recently did Tangled too.
We recently did
like
Tangled.
last year.
We did.
Redid it.
Yeah,
But
we redid it.
both of them are redids.
Yes, redos.
But yeah.
But the soundtrack is so just like this movie. Just like every little bit just brings you into the film. It's not like more modern films where be like, oh, I recognize this little earworm. Be like, where is it from? Oh yeah, it's from this movie.
It's from 5 different movies done by the same artist who used the same basic thought process
Exactly.
in every single film because synthesization, even though it's played orchestral, is taken back over. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's not technically not synthesized scores because they're being played by orchestras, but it's being created by people who have fallen into synthesizer patterns in the writing of their music, and that's why most music now is boring.
Yes.
I just been pissed off a ton of movie buffs
You
who
probably
love the
did.
current score and think Hans Zimmer is a god. I'm not saying that Hans Zimmer's not a great musician. Do not get me wrong, but I love his early stuff. I hate his no stuff that's all based off synthesizer.
Yes. Agreed.
Anyways,
the soundtrack is wonderful. What is your second like?
my second like is all of the time travel technobabble.
Yes, agreed.
For those who do not understand what I mean by technobabble, I do not consider technobabble a bad thing if it's used correctly.
Yes.
And the way you use it correctly is to is to give you just enough information to make the technology seem plausible without actually explaining a cotton picking thing.
Yes.
Here's the plausibility of how time travel works in this film. You use plutonium, one of the most powerful sources of energy most people could think of at this time, to somehow send that goes through this magic box called the flux capacitor, which, if you really stop and think of it, does not explain what that box actually is or does.
No.
And all the thing is like 3 rope lights that can pulse going into like a nut that's got a triangular head. That's all it is inside of a box that says flux capacitor. It doesn't tell you what the thing. There's no idea how it does. It's a magic box.
Yes.
It's a magic science box.
Yes.
But that's enough. It's like, oh, I can assume something goes on in there that causes the time travel to happen. It can only happen, though, once you get the car up to 88 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Why 88 miles per hour? Who cares?
Fun fact.
I have some problems with it, but continue.
Yes. Fun fact about the DeLorean itself.
Besides the fact that the motor is a piece of junk.
That is true. But also the speedometer would go up to 85 and that was it.
Yeah.
They literally had to take the speedometer from, I believe it was a Ferrari, and put that in there. So that's why it goes over 100, because the original DeLorean did not go over 85 miles an hour.
And remember, folks, the DeLorean was only made for 1 year.
Yeah.
There's only one model year of the DeLorean before that company went out of business. This movie is the only reason anybody nowadays knows what a DeLorean is.
Yes.
I'm not trying
it's
to
so
be
iconic
mean.
because of the film.
It's mostly iconic because of the film. Because most people, if this film didn't exist, if they saw a DeLorean, they'd go, "What on earth is that thing?"
Yeah.
I have no idea what it is. And the thing is, I actually haven't had an uncle who had a DeLorean. He let it rot, which pisses me off. But he did have a DeLorean. So.
Yes. Well, also, DMC, the company that created the DeLorean, is still in business because
It's technically a different company.
it's a different company that still builds DeLoreans. That the parts from the manufacturer is still there, so they're
Because
still making them.
They have so many. They had so many parts in spare parts that they didn't build hundreds of DeLoreans.
Yeah.
And so now they're building DeLoreans by hand.
Yes.
That's what's funny.
Yes. And allegedly, there's a new DeLorean, DMC DeLorean coming out.
They claim.
They've been claiming for years, but who knows?
But fun fact, the new DeLorean Motor Company is in Houston.
Houston, Texas.
How on earth? Well, folks, I don't think we mentioned it on this yet. We just came back last weekend from Houston because we were at Comic Palooza.
Big comic convention.
Great comic convention. They had Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd there.
And there was
And there was not one DeLorean. I'm not saying there wasn't a DeLorean that had all the time travel stuff.
There wasn't?
On it.
I didn't see one.
There was not one. The closest thing we had was 2 Cybertrucks, and only one of those was on the floor, and it was not even dressed like a time machine. All it had was a black sticker on the side advertising a beverage company. Beer brewery, actually, I
Yeah, we
believe.
actually parked next to that one.
Well, that was the other one.
Oh,
but
okay, yeah.
I was like, I'm sitting there going, why?
It made no sense.
Why is there not a DeLorean here? A, and B, you're at a convention with the people from Back to the Future and with all of these, because this had a car show in it too, folks.
Yeah.
Why in this car show do you have a Cybertruck that looks like it should be just a beefier DeLorean?
Yes.
And you do not put the time travel stuff on it? Not even a flux capacitor in the back of the window or something? You just put a sticker on the side that says, someone's brewing company. I don't remember who it was.
Yeah.
Because it's literally oh, it's a Cybertruck. And it's the only other vehicle ever made that has stainless steel body.
It's perfect, but they didn't.
They didn't do it because they're stupid.
Never utilize it. Come on, people, do
Sorry.
better.
Back to the movie.
Back to the future.
But the way you have the the stuff with, they explain the butterfly effect.
Yes.
Even though they don't call it the butterfly effect because that name did not become popular until the movie The Butterfly Effect.
Yes.
Which I never saw. But the whole explanation of your actions are changing the space-time continuum. You have to have 1.21 gigawatts of power
Yes.
to make any of this happen.
Which is approximately the same voltage of a bolt of
Of a
lightning.
bolt of lightning, on average, probably.
Yeah, on average.
And then and that working its way into the writing where you made this small change out of the goodness of your heart, and now everything is screwed up and you have to fix it, and you happen to fix it in such a way where your life is better when you get back to 1985, despite the fact you're living in the same house. Anyway, either he made a lot of money at that office that he wasn't able to spend very well, or anyway, but where it works into the writing, where the differences in the people and the whole thing where it's Marty who convinces the future mayor to become the mayor.
Oh yeah, Goldie Wilson.
Goldie Wilson.
What the sound of that?
And maybe, and let's not forget, it's because of Marty McFly that we have Chuck Berry. Because his brother, Marvin Berry, was the leader of the band, the Starlighters, at the Enchantment Under the Sea dance that Marty had to get his parents to kiss at, and was forced to play with them. And he said, "Hey, let's play something that really cooks." And he plays Johnny Be Good. Great song. And then instead of just playing it continuing to play it like he was playing it.
Oh, he's an 80s kid.
He's an 80s kid. But instead of keeping it within the realm so that, it fits, he goes off and starts doing heavy metal riffs on a guitar that's not made for heavy metal.
80s riffs.
The subtitle said heavy metal.
Yes.
I disagree with it also, but still, that's not the kind of guitar you play those riffs on. Because that's a different type of guitar. I know enough about guitars to know that was designed for different type of music. Yeah. Either way. The whole all of the little things in here that dealt with the time travel that they had to explain for a normal audience to get. They explain it so beautifully that this is the movie most people know time travel from.
Yeah.
Star Trek IV came out before this, had the same issues that they had to explain time travel to people who didn't understand how time travel was supposed to work in science fiction.
Right.
And I don't think it explained it very well. No. And I'm the Star Trek lover. Do not see the hat. This is my salty fan hat. Because it fell in the salt water.
It did.
But yeah, this movie does a far better job of explaining the problems of time travel in a way that most people get. That other time travel things that we have had don't really explain very well because they're focused on different things.
Yes.
But this is I just love the way they handle the explaining time travel with just enough technobabble to make you understand, okay, it's maybe a little above your knowledge base, but we still explain just enough that it's the science, the pseudoscience sounds plausible.
Yes.
To the point where now we can say all anyone has to the point. Let me explain this. To the point where one of the achievements in Sonic the Hedgehog CD, a game that involves Sonic traveling fast enough to travel through time. The achievement for doing this the first time is called 88 miles per hour.
Oh, that is hilarious.
Yeah. That's how ubiquitous, there's your $30 word, ubiquitous this movie made time travel. And that's why anyone, even the Avengers had to point to this movie in Endgame when they were trying to explain the differences between how time travel was working in their franchise versus how most people know it, which is Back to the Future.
Yes.
This movie did such a good job that to most people, this is how time travel is supposed to work.
Yes.
And I appreciate that they did such a good job with that. What's your third like?
So kind of you went into the 1.21 gigawatts. So I did a very random how many volts is a thunderbolt or a bolt of lightning. The typical lightning bolt.
How many watts?
How many watts exactly? The typical lightning bolt carries between 1,000 and 300,000 amps.
How many watts is that?
Let me convert that.
I'm sorry, because in my mind I'm thinking amps and watts are connected, but they're not the same thing. Because electricity has a lot of things it's based off of.
Yes.
In fact, I will help you Google this.
Yeah, we go. A bolt of lightning has between 300 million and 1 billion volts.
Still not a watt.
Okay.
How many watts does a lightning bolt have? Literally the first thing that comes up. And while lightning strikes may vary in strength, a lightning bolt can produce 1.21 gigawatts of power. It's like, is that the only thing you're going to give me? Okay. Okay, watts depends on amps. So this is an estimation.
Yeah.
At best. It is the average bolt. Okay.
Yeah,
as for lightning, the average bolt carries an estimated 10 gigawatts of electricity.
Yeah.
More than enough to blast you back to the future.
Yeah.
According to this sci-fi.com website. Anyway. Third like, please, sir.
All right. Third like. Go to notes. Go to notes. Go to notes.
Go to notes. Go to notes. Does whatever the notes does.
The cast, like you said, the cast of like Marty McFly, or not Marty McFly. I was thinking of Michael J. Fox, Marty McFly, of course. The Man, the Fox. Because like obviously this cast is known for this movie. Like you said, be like people in other countries, other parts of the world will literally, it's like, oh, it's Michael J. Fox. Oh, it's Christopher Lloyd, and know who these people are because they're so iconic because of this film. And like you said, Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, their dynamic as two friends who have a love for science and a love for adventure. Mm-hmm. Then you have like others like Tom Wilson, who in this movie is the worst bad guy you can ever think of, in a good way, the worst bad guy you can think of. But in real life, Tom Wilson is probably the biggest sweetheart, biggest teddy bear on the planet, because if you've ever seen anything he's ever done, it is the goofiest, silliest thing in the planet. And like you have like just the dynamic of like the bit actors to the main cast. It is just so well done, so well rounded, that they all kind of play off each other, because then, like you have like these big superhero films, and most of the time like the cast doesn't click until the third film. We have this one, they all click in the first film. That's why it works. Like it's well casted, it's well written to where these actors can perform at a top notch, a top performance, while doing a film that most people have heard of, and is like Back to the Future. What the world is this? Because it was in some realms it was deemed to fail because it was a weird sci-fi film, because no one had any faith in it, and it was the only person who had faith in it was Steven Spielberg. And said, okay, let's do this film, because they had Zemeckis and Gale had done two films that didn't do well, but Universal thought, okay, let's give them a shot. And also Steven Spielberg was, hey, I like the script. If you want to do something with it, let's do it. But the cast just hits it out of the freaking park every single time you watch it. And like you can go into the sequels, whatever. But with this film, with the encapsulation of this story, be like the actors come alive as the characters. Be like, you believe Marty is this teenager who's going to throw him back in time. You believe Doc is a wild-haired, crazy scientist who is just mad with inventing things. And you have Lorraine, who is in love with her son. She doesn't know it's her son, which is weird. Be like, you have all this amazing talent behind these characters, and the passion and drive they put into their performances is just great. It wasn't just a paycheck for most of these people. It was great. And so, yeah, the cast is like top notch. Be like, yes, if I would have been able to meet those actors at Comapalooza for my bachelor party, yes, it was my bachelor party. Yay. I'll have to go in and talk about it later on another date, but
Yeah.
Otherwise, be like, this cast is just so good. And I could take, we could, arcing back to the Avengers. We were talking about the Avengers a minute ago, where you get the movies, the Avengers, and you don't really get like a fluidity, like a flow of the characters until like the third film or the second film. Be like, yeah, they work together, but it's not like ebbs and flows. It was a different time period when they when they did this. But the cast in this movie just click so well as characters, and their comedic timing with each other. And again, be like, this movie is kind of a comedy, but also it's a time travel movie. But it's not one of these, oh shucks howdy, ha, ha, ha. But it's a fun, adventurous film where characters embodied by actors is done so incredibly well. So yeah, the acting in this movie is superb. So yes, that is my third like.
My third like for this film, we've touched on so many good things about this film, and so it's hard. I'm actually having a hard time like hitting on something we've not talked about yet. But Lorraine Baines McFly. I'll talk about what I like about this character. Here's the thing. I didn't know, this is the first time I noticed this.
Okay.
How much she is so depressed at the beginning of this film.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't catch it. I guess it's just because like, oh, I want to get to the time travel stuff. I don't care about this home drama nonsense. I don't care about who these people are. Yeah, well, I'll care about her when she's hitting on Marty later in the film. But watching that, it's like you can see she does such a good acting through the prosthetics because she is wearing not the greatest prosthetics to make her look
no.
It was older and fatter. But she does such a good job that when she says some of these things like, I never did any of that, it's like, sure, you never did anything like that. It's like, it was, and the part where she says, after Dad hit him with the car, it was love at first sight. It's like, you both are still in love with him, and you hate that you're still in love with him. Because good night, my life could be so much better if I'd been with that goober. Is what she's thinking. It's what she's thinking. We all know, because we've seen Back to the Future Part 2, it would not have been a good idea.
Well, here's
now I've seen
having seen that. Here's the thing. It's like you can talk about time paradoxes and the whole bit of distorting the time continuum, whatever. But where they were going from there, because the events of the movie had not happened yet.
I know, but I love how they're already alluding. To the fact that her that kiss, despite the fact if it wasn't for them, she wouldn't have had her kids.
Yes,
she wouldn't. Because of that kiss, she married Marty's George McFly, and her life to some degree has not prospered the way she wanted it to in that timeline. And so you get the events of the movie, and Marty's mom is so much wilder than she led her children to believe, because you never tell your kids you were a wild and crazy woman.
You were a wild child
until they're adults and are already married. While they're teenagers, you want them to mind is the thought process. Granted, don't lie to your kids. But but the fact he was like in the beginning, you know, oh, I hate that Jennifer. She's just so forward. Girls shouldn't be like that with guys. You know what she's thinking after you watch the movie. She's like, that was the mistake I made. If she were a smart girl, she wouldn't do this.
Yes, it's. I mean, like
But
you
you
have
don't
all this
catch that at the
grand
time.
illusion. Yeah,
It's her acting in the beginning of this film is so good, making you feel like my life sucks, and it's all because I married George McFly.
yeah.
And then you get the whole movie, and yeah, she falls in love with her son. Admittedly, she doesn't know it.
Yeah,
I'd
of
like to
course.
point to the song "I'm My Own Grandpa" as why it's not as strange as you make it out to believe, even
Yeah.
though it's
Oh, it
still
is.
just like disgusting. Sorry.
Yes.
And I love the
But it's
fact
a funny gag.
I
Do not get me
love
wrong.
the moment when she finally kisses Marty on the lips in the car before he kisses.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, that's so weird. It's like I'm kissing
Kissing
my
my
brother.
brother.
It's like
You have no idea.
you might want to talk to a one Carrie Fisher about this. But I'm sorry, that was the first thought that came to
Oh my
mind.
gosh!
It's like I'm
Carrie!
It's like, oh my word. I threw myself.
Of
Sorry.
course.
But even to that moment, it's like at that point you can tell she kind of still likes Marty, but somehow that relationship no longer holds what she wanted, because she was just, what's the family friendly way of saying this? She was just hot, we'll say.
Yeah.
For any kind of good looking man.
Dude, yeah.
We'll just say it that way.
Yeah.
George would eventually be her knight in shining armor.
Yeah.
But that's not who George was in the original timeline.
Yeah.
George was the guy she happened to run into at the dance and kissed and fell in love with.
Yeah.
After the Florence Nightingale effect, when her dad hit him with the car.
Yeah.
She pretty much just was going to be hot with whoever dad hit with the car.
Yeah. pretty
Because
much.
probably she doesn't get to hang around boys that much outside of her brothers,
Yeah.
including the one that will never leave bars.
Jailbird Joey.
But they do such a good job. And then you get to the end of the film where you're back in the present. Their lives are all so much better because George got confidence and courage to be a prominent science fiction author. Although it does sound like it took until 1985 for him to publish his first book. So where did they get the money? And why can they afford to already give him the truck? Well, I guess they could have bought the truck with the money they got from selling the book.
Well, with that, it was more like Marty got the confidence from, or
George got the confidence.
George got the confidence from Marty, and that allowed him to face the Biff. He became president of the class,
I get
and like
that.
so and so
And
forth.
while
That's what drove his future.
And I'll admit, we are not given much about what happened in the intervening years.
Yes.
In the new timeline. So yeah, this is probably not his first book. It's probably just his newest book.
Yeah,
But that's not exactly how they say it in that moment.
yeah.
And we're still just
She says it's your first novel.
right, first novel. He probably was writing short stories there for a
Maybe.
while and got popular off that with not book deals, but short story collections
getting
and
signed
things like
in the
that.
book. Yeah, possibly.
Working the con circuit in the 1980s. Was there a
80s?
con circuit in the
There
1980s?
was.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
there was.
Outside of Star Trek, I have no idea what cons were going on at the time.
It was a different era.
Different era, yeah.
Yeah.
But but then she's like, she's still got the bad prosthetic makeup, unfortunately, though she is skinnier.
Yeah.
They just took the fat suit off her for those scenes.
It's like, Mom, you look. I mean, like
Thin.
you look thin.
And it's like their lives are so much better
Yeah.
now that George had the confidence to do what he needed to do.
Yeah.
And yeah,
and they
it's
put
like
Biff in his place. I love
Biff
that.
needed to be put in his place.
Yeah.
But that's what makes
Don't con me.
that's the interesting thing. Is like I said, we're not talking about the other two films, but I kind of have to bring this one thing up.
Okay.
In this movie, Biff's just an annoyance.
Yes.
He's not really a villain.
He is a villain, but he's more of the high school bully who's
Right.
a severe bully.
He is the guy, the annoyance that keeps popping up, whereas the main antagonist, for lack of a better term, is the changing timeline.
Agreed.
In the next two films, either Biff or Biff's ancestor, depending on which one we're talking about, is the actual villain of the film.
Yeah, agreed.
trying to keep the time travel from happening or whatever.
Yeah.
Or changing the future himself. And I like how I do like how
Griff
they
and
work
Mad
that.
Dog Tannen.
I do like how they eventually are able to pull that off. But I do like how I just lost my spot because I was talking about the other thing. But anyway, yeah, I like Lorraine's performance. Leah Thompson does such a good job in both the role of young Lorraine and Mother Lorraine.
Yeah.
Because it really is two different roles.
It is.
And she does such a good job. George also does a good job. Not Crispin Glover. Crispin Glover.
Kristen Glover.
It is Crispin Glover.
Yeah.
He does a good job too, but that's not that role's not that
Dissimilar?
dissimilar. It's not as important. It's more like I've got to get you to hook up, and so I'm good. You are the nerdiest guy who has no confidence, and that's who your character is.
Yeah.
Admittedly, George is a little flat, but
He is.
it still works. Either way, we've talked about what we liked in this film. We have to come up with some we didn't like,
Yes.
because while we are not necessarily a objective review show, we
Yes.
at least try to put on the illusion that we are.
Yes.
So, Jacob, what is the first thing you do not like about this film?
Again, this is a nitpick, and Robert Zemeckis has brought it up before, and I thought it was a very interesting little nitpick that the tachometer, when Marty is trying to get away from the Libyans, keeps changing from be like he's in a parking lot doing circles, trying to avoid the Libyans.
Yeah.
And the tachometer, which is
Tachometer or speedometer?
no tachometer.
Okay.
The tachometer keeps going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, because they're using different shots for it.
Yeah.
So I just found it incredibly hysterical. Like, I think I saw
remember
this
looking
probably
at-
like 10 years ago.
The only reason I asked you if you were referring to the speedometer is because I don't remember looking at the tachometer. I remember looking at the speedometer.
Oh, yeah. Because, like, for years, I only watched the speedometer.
Yeah,
Now, as I got older, I like at one view, I was watching it, and I noticed the tachometer. Well, the tachometer would go from here, and it would jump to this number, and then back to this number.
Yeah.
Because they didn't bother with the continuity with it, because they didn't think about it.
They're only worried about showing the
speedometer.
speedometer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's one of those things that the director brought up, and it's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And it's something I noticed probably like 10 years ago. And I was like, wait a minute, the tachometer's off.
yeah, I never noticed that
Yeah.
before.
So that is my first dislike. It's a little nitpick, but yeah.
My first dislike for this one, and this is also a nitpick, I was originally going to go with the fact that DeLorean gets up to 88 miles per hour a little too fast in a lot of these shots. Because there's not enough, it feels like there's not enough space, enough road to actually get up to 88 miles per hour.
Right.
Which we'll come back to in one of the other things. But I want to point out that this is what got me thinking about this. The thing that really gets on my nerves, how far apart is downtown Hill Valley from the Twin Pines / Lone Pine Mall?
It's not told.
It's not told.
No.
We know that Marty apparently can run there in about 10 minutes-ish because he pulls this off in the film.
Yeah.
Because he gets back to 1985 with 10 minutes on the clock and gets there just as Doc gets shot.
Yeah.
We see earlier in the film that Marty drives from where that mall would eventually be built. Not to downtown, but he goes over to where his house would eventually be built. And it's midday when he gets there.
Yeah, it's in the middle of nowhere.
And
it's
in the
way out of town.
And in the middle of nowhere, right. Throughout the film, at least when he's right at the beginning of the film, he is riding everywhere on a skateboard.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see where you're going.
Yeah, this movie while this movie does a great job of keeping the time right where it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
The other side of that continuum, space, this movie actually doesn't do that great a job of carrying. Like I said, I noticed this first when I was looking at how fast the car was getting up to 88 miles per hour, because I was thinking of all the mall parking lots I've ever been to, I don't think there's an open enough section that I could get any vehicle up to 88 miles per hour, much less a DeLorean with a bunch of science junk on top of it.
At 1:30 in the morning.
At 1:30 in the morning. Most of the ones I've seen, the parking lots are not that nice.
Yeah.
But admittedly, I'm used to seeing parking lots in malls in the year 2015 to 2024.
Yes.
Not malls in their heyday, which
Yeah.
would have been the case here.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's able to get up, but I'm saying that's one of the things I finally just let the film have, because honestly, I think I've seen cars get up to 88 miles per hour that fast, because I watch Top Gear every once in a while. I know how fast they can get a car up to in that environment. Sure, I'll give it. I have another problem though in that mall scene, but we'll get to it in a minute.
Yeah, well, it really depends on how well Marty is with a stick shift.
That is true. And that's why, and it's like I said, that's why I'm giving that to the film. I'm letting the film have that. I'm not going to judge it. That's not my nitpick. My nitpick is the fact that this town changes in size depending on the needs of the plot. The high school is fairly far away too, because Marty's got to, at the end of the film, go from the high school to downtown, go back in time, and then go over to the mall in a relative time period.
Right.
I should say it like that. In a relative time period of 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Ish. Actually, no, now that I think, yeah, relative, because he travels back in time from like 9:30 at night about to 1 o'clock in the morning about.
Right.
So yeah, that makes it. It's still about a relative time for Marty to be of about 30 minutes. And in that time, he also has to change clothes.
Yeah.
Now, I recognize you're in a hurry. I having done theater, I know how to change clothes in a hurry, because I've had to change costumes in a hurry before.
Yeah.
So that part is not out of the question. But to get out of there, get back to the find some place to change clothes, drive to downtown, have all the adventures with Doc there with the power cord and Doc yelling at him for trying to change the future, driving all the way back to where the starting point is, getting the hookup, changing the time circuits, getting up to 88 miles per hour just in the nick of time to crash into what's now an Assembly of God church in the present, have the car malfunction, see the Libyans drive past, and then run after them and get there, I would like to point out, moments after they did.
Yeah.
How slow were those Libyans driving?
Yeah, because like even the director said, he was like, yeah, because whenever the new mall was created outside of town, be like that's when the town center dried up in the 80s.
Yeah.
So yeah, this would have to be a trek outside of the city to get there.
Even if you use Marty's run of 10 minutes, that's going to be roughly, I think, the average human who's not fit, we'll say. That's what, 3, maybe 4 miles an hour tops?
Depends. Depends.
So we'll call that.
I walk it too, so
let's just call it 4 miles just to be nice. Marty ran 4 miles without being out of breath at the end, I would like to point out.
Yeah.
Hey, he's tired.
He's a bit exhausted.
He's a bit exhausted,
and
but
he's a teenager. Think about that.
Right, but at the same time, it's like, you're not as tired as I would have been at that age if I had run 4 miles straight with the life of one of my best friends on the line, only to get there and fail, ish, and then also like I said, my problem here is you try to do the logistics of this, and it does not work. The space, the amount of time it takes for him to cross that amount of space changes depending on the needs of the plot.
Right.
And that's my problem. That's
fair.
It's not a. Like I said, this is a nitpick because here's the thing: if it's the plot, I don't care. While I'm watching the film, I don't care. I was looking for something here.
Yeah.
Because it's like, this is a little wonky. I'll let it go, but it's a little wonky. And it's the same problem I have with Star Trek Into Darkness, how they just play loosey-goosey with the size of the galaxy.
Fair.
But, yeah. My first dislike for this is that the town of Hill Valley appears to be in another space-time continuum where space is warped and time is bendable. Actually, we knew time was bendable. This is a time travel movie. Jacob, your second dislike, please. As he types onto his iPad.
Yes. All right. So my second dislike. Now, granted, this is a nitpick that I discovered years ago. The last time travel sequence of the film, where it's the clock tower and you have to match it up completely, and Doc slides down the cable, which in most cases probably wouldn't work, but there again we're going with movie magic.
Movie magic is the only reason that Doc's weight didn't pull the plug back out of that socket.
Exactly. or at least pull one of the time arms out of it.
Yeah. Because if this were happening in real life, if this were me, Marty would still be stuck in 1955.
And so here's my problem that be like, there again, it's a nitpick. There again, it's a great, gorgeous film. Is where Doc connects the two connectors once the lightning strikes.
Which should have killed him.
Yeah, he as I put it, be like Doc would be toasted brown.
Much like a certain mouse in a certain Titanic film.
Yes. The fact he takes on the entire voltage of that one lightning that has been channeled through that conductor. Mm-hmm. He's become the conductor. It's grounded in him.
It would have hit him and gone straight into the ground, and Marty would still be stuck in 1955 because all 1.21 gigawatts went straight into the ground.
Yeah.
Not into the flux capacitor.
And Marty would have literally drove into the theater.
Yeah. During a showing of Davy Crockett.
Yeah, showing you Davy Crockett. Which
Davy Crockett.
Man, why in the world is our theater destroyed now? But it's like, yeah, it's one of those little continuity things. Be like, if you overthink it, it's going to ruin the film. And at one point, I nearly ruined the film for myself. Be like, but Doc became the conductor. He became the grounded part of it. So the lightning would go through him and the ground. So yeah, he would be a roasted brown.
Yeah, he nearly became a musician because he would have been a great conductor.
Great. But yeah, it's like I still love this film. It's just those little nitpicks. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, this is the problem when you're trying to think too hard.
Yes, about a film.
Because you have to, because that's the thing. We're reviewing this film. Mm-hmm. We have to come up with stuff we don't like. Otherwise, we're not doing our job. Mm-hmm. And yet,
yes,
it can ruin the film for you if you're not careful. That's why I continue to say this is a nitpick. I don't actually care about this. Anyway.
Yeah. So that is my second dislike, as Doc would be toasted brown with the lightning strike, and Marty would have not returned to the future.
Fair enough.
But we're dealing with movie magic. We're dealing with just suspending disbelief, and Doc would not become a grounding or a conductor for the lightning. It would go into the flux capacitor, and
actually, Neko just did remind me of something. Eventually, he does become a great conductor of a time train.
Womp womp. Good one. Anyways, so yeah, that's my second dislike. What is your second dislike?
My second dislike for this film, and it is hard to come up with stuff, I'll admit. When they've got Einstein in the car.
Yes.
And they're doing the first time travel experiment.
Oh, yeah.
And Doc puts the brake on, so that the car will. The idea being so that the car accelerates up to a certain speed before they let it go. Obviously, to cover the small issue I had with the space thing about there not being shouldn't be enough room for him to get up to 88 miles per hour in time. Even if that speedometer on his remote control was showing the right speed, actually, it's showing the wrong speed for one thing, because the car, while accelerating with that brake on, is still going at 0 miles per hour. All you're doing is rubbing the rubber off of those tires that are designed to push that car. You are not. I know the thought process. You speed it up a little, let the brake off, and that means the car will then be going at whatever. 50 is what I think the display says when he finally lets it go. That's not how physics works.
No, it doesn't.
That car would that display, even if, because I can see the display showing 50. Because of how the cars calculate the speed has nothing to do with how fast the car is actually moving, but how fast the wheel is turning.
Yeah.
So I can see why it's showing, but the moment that he lets go of that brake, that thing should have dropped down to like 20 miles an hour.
Well,
and then accelerate. He would have accelerated faster.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing. What good brakes that DeLorean has to keep the car from moving while the accelerator is going full bore up to what the thing is somehow calculating at 55 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I don't know of any car that can stop that can actually overcome its own accelerator with its brake.
Well, when you have the e-brake pulled or the emergency brake pulled, and you have your foot to the floor and you're double clutching it. That's
Maybe,
where you have to double clutch it.
Granted,
because you're already in second gear by that point.
Granted, we are talking about a manual transmission.
Yes, you're dealing with manual.
I am mostly used to automatic, which can overcome that at most speeds.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
you can do that with automatic.
Not my automatic.
In most cars, you can do that.
My truck, I don't think was ever able to pull that off, because it's like if you pulled out if you accelerate with the emergency brake on, you'll still move forward.
Yeah.
It's just going to stop the car from going forward when you're not accelerating.
Yeah.
When it's just gravity pulling it.
Yeah. Click, click, boom.
But, it's just the physics of that moment. It's like, I know what you're doing. And in the moment, I don't care because I'm looking for stuff that's not good in this film.
Yes.
I hate this moment now because it's like, to quote a certain Corellian junk hauler, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. I praised this movie a moment ago for good technobabble.
Yeah.
This is the moment where they slipped up because all they have done in this moment is wore the rubber off that tire.
Well,
it would not have accelerated that fast doing that. Now, I can see the car accelerating that fast from a stop.
Yeah.
Or coming off of one of those dynamos where it's testing the rotation.
Yeah.
And then those drums stop and then the car jolts forward. You can see that.
Yeah.
But from stopped in a parking lot with a brake that's somehow holding this fully accelerating to the floor car from moving.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is something.
Well, it's moving.
It's moving, but it's not supposed to be moving.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be still as a rock, is what the movie is trying to show you. And it is kind of moving back and forth.
It's a rear-wheel drive vehicle.
It's starting to fishtail a little bit.
Yeah.
Because that emergency brake's on the front wheels.
Yes.
So it's fishtailing a little bit, but at the same time, it's like, I need to make like Elsa and let it go.
Yeah.
But it's still, I'm looking at going, I don't think that's how physics works. It's supposed to work at all. And it just kind of throws off the scene just a little bit. But admittedly, we are on the property of a man who used to think that he could
breed
pine trees. I'm still sitting there going, what was your theory here? They're not male and female.
Yeah.
They have male and female parts,
But not like
but not
Like
you don't
like a dog.
You don't breed them like animals. Oh well,
yes. So kind of going on your same rant or your
it's a micro rant because I frankly don't care.
right.
I let it go when I'm watching the film.
Yes. To also put this into mind, the DMC DeLorean had an underpowered engine, and the transmission couldn't keep up with the engine. So you're putting that point at that
Well,
point,
and
that
here-
much torque on that transmission with a underpowered engine on that car, it's
Yeah.
going to stall.
And here's the other thing: throughout this movie, they actually do a good job of showing the reliability of the DeLorean.
Oh yeah,
Poor.
yeah.
Because their DeLorean is actually a poor car.
Yeah.
If we're being honest.
Yeah.
And the rest of the stuff
Very
works fine.
powerful.
They do a good job of it because the starter doesn't work half the time. It's always goes out on them at the worst possible times.
Uh-huh.
Why is it in this scene? It's a sports car. Why is it a Porsche in this scene?
Yeah, agree.
I know you're showing off the super cool time machine, and that's great and awesome. And I'm fine with the DeLorean working like this after it gets its future upgrades, after Doc takes it into the future. But right now, this is a crappy car, and it should not be this good in this scene. Because you do such a good job of showing how crappy this car is throughout the rest of the film.
Yeah. Well, the fun fact again with this the DeLorean itself, when they were doing the film with the pre-production, they realized, and it's like, oh yeah, that's the whole problem with this car. It has an underpowered engine and a weak transmission. So they took the motor. Well, I think they were first trying to work with it, and just the engine was crap. So they took the engine out and put I think it's like a Porsche engine in it.
Which that makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense that, especially for production, you put reliable parts in it and just use the DeLorean shell.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It even made sense for Doc to have done this
Yeah.
because he certainly had the capability.
Yeah.
But that's
Yes.
not what they showed in this film. So.
Yes. So, my third dislike of this brilliant film. So, as you know, in the first time travel sequence where Einstein comes back,
Yeah.
the car is ice cold. It has been frozen over, right?
Yeah, and they show this at the same time when Marty goes back too.
Exactly.
You can't really see the car when Marty comes back to 1985.
Yes.
And that's the only 3 time travel sequences in the film.
Also, there's the point where Doc comes back from the future in the very end of the film. And there's
Right,
one
but
thing if you didn't notice, the time machine doesn't have ice on it anymore.
I forgive that one because the car has had upgrades to it, and I would obviously upgrades built into it, and I would assume that a de-icing agent has been applied. Because I can see how that would be a problem in normal running
Yeah.
of a time machine.
But also, this was just an idea they thought would be a great idea. But over the course of the production of the film,
Which
they
was a
realized
pain in the butt.
it was a royal pain in the butt. So they dropped it halfway through the film, and that's why there's no continuity of it. Because they just didn't like the idea. They dropped
do a
it.
good job of hiding it, though.
Yeah.
Because while you can see it with Einstein's trip, and you can see it with Marty's
Marty's.
first trip.
Yeah.
The second trip, the car, when you see it, is in the theater or in the church at that point.
Yeah.
When
It's still smoky a little bit.
it's smoky, and when you back up, you can kind of tell something's melted. There's stuff
A little
melting
bit.
off of it, but that could be very easily. They could have just easily sprayed water on that from a distance, or better yet, if it were me, I would have shot all of the Hill Valley stuff, kind of, because they don't shoot this in order. I would have shot all the present day Hill Valley stuff at one time, and that may have been when they were still doing the icing. So they might have, or they are thinking about it, realize how much of the pain in the butt
Well,
the icing was
Well,
in that one shot.
chronologically, they shot all the 1955 shots first,
Right.
And then shot.
So so obviously iced it for the 1955 arrival of Marty, iced it for Einstein, and then when they shot Marty coming back to 1985, realized how much of a pain in the butt this is, and we can't. I actually don't know how they did the icing on the car, because it's ice. It is legit ice.
Yeah, it is.
And the only way I can think you could do that is if you actually like sprayed water on the car and stuck it in a freezer overnight.
Well, what they did
Which would have been bad for the car.
No, what they did, I remember, they put a de-icer over it and they shot it with a fire extinguisher.
Okay, that I can see too.
Yeah, so they
But
realized
that's still a pain in the butt.
Yeah, it's a real pain in the butt because they had to shoot it right then and there. But
they-
every time they would turn around, it melts.
Yeah, because
So that's the reason they dropped it by the end of the film.
and you know it took 4 or 5 different shots for them to get the shots they needed for the film.
Oh, yeah.
So they probably had to keep icing down the
Yeah,
DeLorean
every
it's like-
time.
and so that's why probably by the time you get to the 1985 shot, the returning to 85 shot, time travel spot, they don't do it because like we don't have time for this.
Yeah.
Let's
There's
just-
a little bit on, but when
We'll just spray water on it and then show Marty coming back to give the idea that this melted. And then when we do the last shot at the end of the film, he has stopped the icing from occurring as future tech.
Yes.
It was a built in with the Mr. Fusion.
Yes. So that's my third dislike.
My third dislike. Remember what I said about this movie having a space problem?
Yes.
What is Marty's last line of this film? Not Doc's, Marty's.
Oh, okay. It's like, what, in the future are our kids assholes or something?
No, that's the second to last.
Oh,
Because his last-
no, it's no, I'm sorry. Wow, I'm such a dork. It's like, hey Doc, we don't have enough room for 88.
Right. On the street outside of Marty's house.
Right.
The same street in the previous scene after Doc dropped Marty off, Doc went into the future, did the time travel. He got
Well,
up to 88 miles an hour.
He had
on
to
that
turn
street.
around.
He did in that last shot too, and I would assume they may have backed up to the same spot both times,
Probably.
which means Doc still shouldn't have had room to travel up to 88 miles per hour.
But you're not putting
Plus-
okay.
Plus, even if he did in his first travel back,
Yeah.
he does not know what's on that street in 2015.
Yeah.
He could have crashed into a space car or a house or a building
Oh, yeah, I
or
agree.
something and destroyed the car and got himself killed in 2015.
Yeah, could have.
He chose the wrong road to go. And now, granted, I get what they're doing.
Yeah.
They want to show he went off to the future. That's great. We'll worry about him later. It's just a matter of doing the light show at the end of the street. It's fine. But yeah, if that even there was not enough room, if there was not enough room in Doc, Marty, and Jennifer's trip, there should not have been enough room for Doc's first trip on that leaving from that street. That's all I'm saying.
Gotcha.
Granted, I get that he may have backed up farther on that street, but I still can't imagine he backed up far enough. Plus, the people who live on that street must be deep, deep sleepers to not hear a DeLorean with a Porsche engine accelerate to 88 miles an hour, have that large bang go off, and nobody wakes up and runs out going, what the heck happened? Granted, if this was made today,
Yes.
all the car alarms would be going off. But this is before car alarms.
Yes.
So, yeah. Now, Neko does bring up oh, sorry, that's not Neko, that's Bobo. Brings up that Marty could have been wrong about the distance.
Yes.
Granted. And we can't exactly see to make it think because, yeah. But at the same time, I'm looking for a nitpick.
Fair.
Because I don't really care that it doesn't work. It's just, yeah, Neko, it does fly at the end of the film. That's why he can get up to the requisite 88 miles per hour in the last time travel sequence before the credits. I'm referring to the part before he goes to the future after he drops off Marty. Because he comes back and then they all go forward. But either way, we have reached the end of this review.
Yes.
What, my friend, are you rating this film?
Oh, easy. It's a 10.
I had a feeling.
Easy.
I had a
This-
feeling.
This is a 10. This is one of those. It's a movie that is a diamond in the rough. It is a pinnacle of movie making, magic, and storytelling and everything. It's like, yes, you can be like, you could go in and nitpick this and nitpick this, because I've heard people where it's just like, oh, it's about white privilege, because at the very end of the film, I'm like, Tosh, it's a story.
You're reading too much into it.
Exactly. I heard that once. Stupidest thing on the planet.
Repeat to yourself, it's just a show. I should really just relax.
Yeah, exactly. Just enjoy the movie. This movie is the pinnacle of a movie storytelling, cinema gold. Mm-hmm. That I think everybody should cherish. Now, granted, not everybody's going to enjoy this film. I know that, but I think for the vast majority, I don't think I've ever met anybody who is either they watched it or hate it, or they haven't watched it yet.
Yeah. And most
It's
people
very rare I've ever met somebody
yeah.
who has ever watched the film and hated it.
Most people at least like this movie.
Yes.
And the thoughts on the second and third movie are usually a little
Yes.
split, which
Yeah.
is understandable.
Yes.
They're not quite as good as this first one.
Yes, but this movie is cinematic gold. Mm-hmm. And just a very brief on 2 and 3. As a kid, I enjoyed 3. It was a fantastic film. I thought it was better than 1. I thought 3 was just, it's Westerns, because I grew up watching Westerns. I didn't like Westerns at the time because my dad watched them all the time. Now, I really enjoy Westerns as an adult, but I think my opinion now has slightly shifted.
Opinions do.
I enjoy 3. I enjoy the snot out of 3 as a movie. 2, I thoroughly enjoy because I have so much nostalgia for it. But then you start looking at the film and examining it. There are problems with the story. Definitely when you're talking about the second, third act. Definitely the time travel. But overall, I enjoy this trilogy beyond belief. And my opinions obviously has changed from a child to an adult. And I just, oh my gosh, yes, a 10, 10 star, 5 stars, whatever you want to call it. It's a 10 star.
Perfect
whatever.
film as far as you're concerned.
Perfect film. Prove me wrong. I'm kidding.
9.5.
What?
Actually,
Blasphemy!
do you know what my temptation actually was to do?
What? Give it a 5?
1.0.
Oh, that'd be like, okay, that's it. We're done.
Just so you do the whole. Because you've done it to me.
Yes, I have. It's like,
Yeah,
what?
I'm actually giving it a 9.5. I don't quite have the
Weirdo.
absolute love for it. It's not the perfect movie for me. It's a good movie. I love this movie.
Yes.
But it does not. Okay. I don't know if I've ever mentioned on here before, but I have a brown standard of films and I have a gold standard of films.
Brown and gold standard.
Yes, my brown standard is Star Trek V for obvious reasons.
Okay.
It's right at the part where movies go from being good to bad.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Gold standard is when a movie goes from good to great. Mm-hmm. And I will admit, I'm not entirely sure what my actual gold standard movie is. I know this rates above my gold standard, but it does not place anywhere near, I would say, the very tip top of the list.
Fair.
It's within my top 20 films.
Gotcha.
But I can't put it at the very top. So yeah, I'm giving it a 9.5, mostly because I'm sure if this movie hits me at the wrong time, I probably wouldn't hit it as well.
Fair.
And there are just other movies I have a much higher preference for. But yeah, I do enjoy this movie, so 9.5. It is near perfect in my eyes.
Nice.
On that note, next week, we are going a little obscure with a anime movie from 1979. that we'll have to acquire, which I was not aware of until this afternoon. But we are going to be reviewing the film Galaxy Express 999.
Yeah.
It's a movie about space trains.
Oh my.
So yeah, join us next week for that. Mm-hmm. I need to make sure I get that clip from ASDF movie with the kid going, "I like trains."
Yes, you will.
But join us next week for that. In the meantime, we'll, on the other side of the bumpers, we'll talk about what we've been watching and some news.
Mm-hmm.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
Everything's moved on here because I added too much crap to my Discord.
As Drew looks through his notes.
I'm getting there. Okay. This... Feel it? This week, it would be so wrong of me not to promote the Retro Rewind podcast.
Yes.
Every other week, join the Retro Rewind pod as they travel back 15 or more years along the entertainment space-time continuum in their mission to review movies and games, establishing what is still worth your time today. Expect fun banter and trivial insights from Roy, Paul, and a rotating band of guest hosts who are all, as the back of the DeLorean's license plate says, out of time. The Cellcast would also like to thank the following patrons: Ashley and Francisco Ruiz, Book of Gaming, PaulJPowers.com, and the Monster Island Film Vault. If you would like to have your name shouted out on the show, special art from Jacob, and uncut episodes, and despite the fact we finished recording them and we've released them for still a limited time, exclusive reviews of X-Men 97. You can donate to us on Patreon, or you give us $5 more than that, total of $10. You can make us review a film.
Within reason.
Within reason. I know we say within reason like we're saying, oh, there's like a whole category. No, it's just a couple things. It's like we reserve the right to say nope on like the worst of the worst. So we still have 2 slots of that open too, by the way. We are going to, we have decided, because of some other things that have come up, push both of those past the hiatus, which is coming up in the next couple weeks, so he can get married. So yeah, join us for that. Oh, and if you don't want to do Patreon, talk to us. We'll find a way to help you get those $10 to us.
Yeah.
Okay. Once I find the thing. So, Jacob, I have a question for you.
What have you been watching?
Well,
besides panels of... Well, you only went to one panel, didn't you?
Yeah, I only went to one panel. I went to 2 panels.
Okay.
Because the rest of them was like, do I really want to sit in this? Do I really want to watch this? Not really. I did one over NASA. That was interesting.
Yeah.
I did one over...
It was about the spacesuits, if I remember correctly, because I was at that one also.
It was over spacesuits.
And mostly we just needed to sit down for a minute.
Yeah, you're not kidding. Like, at a con, if you've never been to a convention, you're like, it's a lot of walking. It's a lot of walking and a lot of ooh,
yes.
Yes.
And, ooh, that's a nice cosplay.
Yes, exactly. So
I can't see it. Neko, yes, it was ukulele.
So I think the only thing I've really watched, like watched, was like I turned on an episode of the Batman on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
That show that came out in like the early 2010s. It's pretty good. I think I'm on season 3. I think. Other than that, it's like listening to podcasts and just yeah, because there's nothing that comes on really special right now. I know there's a certain film that comes out tomorrow. I guarantee you're gonna be up early watching it.
Maybe.
What was it?
We still don't know if that rumor is true.
That is true. That is true.
And that rumor may affect programming, so.
That's true. So, yeah, I think it's the only bit about we've watched. I do want to do a little plug-in later, so we'll do that later.
Okay.
All right. So, yeah, that's all I've been watching. What have you been watching?
Well, at that same con, outside of watching you try alcohol for some of the first time.
Yeah. Hold on. I did forget. We watched Starship Troopers.
Yes. Well,
Starship Troopers.
I started it.
Yeah, you started it.
And I fell asleep about 15 or 20 minutes into the film.
Yeah, I watched it and I was like, oh crap, this is this film. Ooh. Because to the point I'm literally backing up the furthest point of the bed I'm sleeping on. It's like, oh my gosh, this is too no.
Meanwhile, I'm over there going,
You're not kidding. That's very similar to what it sounds like.
it's like, I'm too tired to care because I've been up since 5.
And occasionally it's
I am not Tim the Toolman Taylor.
No, you literally you go, "Arr, arr, arr." You would stop and
I'm sure I wasn't the only
room
one.
full of guys. Oh, believe me, it was a snore fest the entire time.
I'm surprised they didn't wake the neighbors. Actually, there's a couple times I'm surprised we didn't wake the neighbors.
Oh my gosh, you're not kidding. How loud you guys got on, or not you guys in particular,
yeah,
but
like the discussions.
The discussions got really loud. It's like, guys, calm down.
He's like, this is a nice hotel, but the sound insulation may not be quite that nice.
Yes.
But yeah. Well, as I was saying,
yes.
Outside of your first taste of alcohol, well, not your first taste.
No.
But some of your takes on alcohol.
Yeah, bar hopping.
It was my first known taste of alcohol.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You saw my face.
Oh, yeah, I did.
I got a sip of that Irish whiskey.
Oh,
and
the God.
It's like, that's what paint thinner tastes like.
It does.
And then because it took a little bit for us to get anything to wash that taste out of the mouth. The longer I sat there, I was like, oh, here's a scary thought. I could get used to this. I need to stay away from this.
Yeah, so no alcohol. No alcohol for Drew.
I know my family history.
Yes.
But
that was a fun weekend.
That was a fun weekend. I did actually get to see I went to a number of panels.
You did.
There are two that are interesting, especially for this particular show. This was actually the second of these two panels I went to. I got to see the panel with the English voice actors for Spy Family. I can't not remember the actors' names. My apologies. Bring that up next. But that was actually fairly interesting because they didn't have to come very far.
No,
but that was an interesting panel they went over. It was fun hearing them talk about how they got into it and what it was like recording the show. The fact that sometimes they have no idea what the other actors in the scenes have said, so they have nothing to play off of. And sometimes they do, and sometimes when it's Anya getting the first try, they have a hard time keeping a straight face, which I understand. Also, the guy who does Lloyd, that's his real voice. He does not put on a voice for that.
Really?
That is his real voice.
Wow.
And he had apparently gotten out of voice acting for a while and came back like right for this show, actually. Someone who worked there at what's now Crunchyroll said, we have a big show coming. I think you'd be good for it. Would you want in? So that was interesting. But the really good one was actually for Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
Yes.
Which I would not have brought up here, even though we have recorded a review for it. Because for the most part, it's about a live action show. Even though I love Star Trek Strange New Worlds, it's a great show. And yes, they did a crossover with Lower Decks, but that's neither here nor there, even though I love that episode. And that would be as far as it went if it weren't for the fact that they had a special surprise.
Oh, it was so good.
Guest.
It was so good. Jerry O'Connor.
Jerry O'Connell was there. He
surprising his wife.
Well, first he surprised her apparently at the photo op booth in his Mystique cosplay.
This is great. Go find it online, people. It's hysterical.
Because for those of you who don't know, Jerry O'Connell is the husband of
Rebecca
Romaine, aka Mystique from X-Men, and now plays Una Chin Riley, aka Number One in Star Trek Strange New Worlds. To which Jerry O'Connell is actually the only Lower Decks cast member besides the main four to appear in that episode. And literally his line is, "Ooh, Number One, she was the hottest first officer in Starfleet." And so he's at... I'm in there at the panel. I got there an hour early, which was enough time to actually get a good seat, believe it or not. Because I am like... I could have gotten closer if I wanted to come off the center. Because I was like right there. It's like, oh, this is a good seat. I get a great shot of Anson Mount and Rebecca Romaine. It'd be great, awesome. And I'm right there next to the aisle where they walk up to do the question and answer. And someone mentioned something about Jerry O'Connell being there, and I was like, okay, yeah, he's not there, but surely he's not up here. I'm not paying attention to who's in the aisle. I probably, at that moment, would not have recognized Jerry O'Connell just right off the top of at sight in that kind of a situation.
Yeah.
All I remember is I was seeing a guy in a gray shirt that was obviously over a costume who was acting very strange. He's acting very strange. I realized after I recognized who it was, because he's trying to hide from his wife. So she doesn't see him coming and failing miserably. And so he gets up there and says, "Hi, my name is Jerry, and I have 3 questions. First off, what's it like being married to Jerry O'Connell?" And I don't remember what the second was, but the third one was, "And what is the cast of Strange New Worlds doing to promote extending the run of Star Trek Lower Decks?" It was hilarious. And then he goes and starts taking off the shirt and wearing the Mystique cosplay underneath. It was hilarious. And then he goes and it's like, yeah, he's done his bit. He's embarrassed his wife, like you do. And he just goes and sits back down. And I'm thinking, that's it. No. I don't. Here's how this went now. Because now I'm aware. And I'm watching people. And all of a sudden, the guy in front of me, I noticed, is looking back down the aisle and go, "Oh, what's he looking at? Oh, look, it's Jerry." I get my phone out. I was like, I'm this close to a celebrity. I'm getting a picture, even if I can't place what he's in besides... And he was in Law and Order, wasn't he?
He was in Sliders back in the late...
I know he was in Sliders, but wasn't he in some...
He's been in everything.
Right. He's been in a lot of stuff. I think I knew him from something else.
Yeah.
Before I saw... Because I remember seeing him going, that's an oddly prominent name in this show. But unfortunately, I was not in a position where I could get any of them to do anything cool, like, say, "Hi, you're listening to the Cellcast." And that would have been cool. But yeah, I did get a picture of him, but unfortunately, it's not a very good picture because it's only a side view because timing. And I don't remember what he said at that point, but it was more picking on his wife, and that was near the end of the thing. In fact, literally, he was like the last person to actually get a question in.
Yeah. And
the moderator was waiting on him and trying to get through people faster.
that is hilarious.
But yeah, that was fun. So outside of sleeping through Starship Troopers,
Which is absolutely hysterical.
The only other thing I got a chance to watch this week after we got home, and I'm flat wore out, and I've taken a short nap. I need something to watch on TV. So I'm just going through the streaming services, trying to find something fun to watch.
Yeah.
And I'm on Disney Plus, and I go, "Oh, I've been meaning to watch that, and I hadn't done it yet. It's only an hour and a half. I'll go ahead and watch this Pixar film from last year." I watched Elemental.
Oh.
Okay. Do you know how Zootopia is preachy without being preachy?
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing here.
Okay.
It's not a preachy film. It's got a message, and it's very much I don't know a good way to put it, but it's very much a modern message. I'll say.
I got you.
There's nothing. There's not like anything like we were not happy about in Lightyear.
Yeah.
But it's still like a opposites attract sort of thing, and I still don't know how that relationship works. But whatever. But yeah. I did watch Elemental. It was fun. I may put it on the list at some point.
Okay.
Not sure. But yeah. I watched that movie and enjoyed it, and that's pretty much about it. Mama happens to be in the chat and is telling me that what I remembered Jerry O'Connell from was Crossing Jordan.
Okay.
Which is not a show I watched, but it's a show she watched. It was one of her slice and dice shows.
I gotcha.
And I usually stayed out of the room for the slice and dice shows. I'm saying that knowing that the only slice and dice thing that was going on there were the autopsies.
I gotcha.
C'est la vie. So that's all I've gotten what I've been watching. What do we have in the news?
The Cellcast News with your host Jacob Heron.
Why? Thank you, Dealit. And going into the news, so Inside Out 2 will take fans on the very first into the first film to a destination that both wonders and sometimes even a little scary. The mind of a kid grappling with teendom. Riley, the main character from Inside Out, has grown a few years since the first film, and since was released in 2015, she's facing a new set of challenges ranging from puberty to friendship dynamics. So the filmmakers, inspired by their own tenuous walks through that phase of life, added 4 new emotions: anxiety, envy, and embarrassment. The original's movies joy, sadness, fear, anger, and disgust are still part of Riley's mind as well. And so this is just a little more of like talking about the film. So we go into the trailer, the new teaser trailer for Moana and 2. That's right, the whole gang, human and livestock alike. Why did they have to bring back the stupid chicken? Is back together in a new teaser trailer for Moana 2, released yesterday, I believe, across Walt Disney Animated Studios social media platforms. Posters for the eagerly anticipated sequel showing our heroine sailing towards a sunset back mountains of a distant island and a blooming let's see from so yeah, we got a new teaser trailer for Moana 2. Thank you, Heather, for putting that into my attention. And finally, a little bit of cat news.
Wow.
Yeah, not that cat. Okay, the famous Tubby
In a way.
Huh?
He's still orange, isn't he?
Yeah, he's still orange.
He likes lasagna.
Yeah.
And is anyway. I was trying to lead into the joke of me being Garfield and you being Odie, but
Yes.
it does kind of sum up our relationship.
It does. Might as well more pick on each other the entire time.
And Garfield and Odie didn't.
Well, from my defense, but like, all I saw was Garfield pick on Odie.
Odie gets it in. That's
Okay.
all I'm saying.
Fair. Okay. So
It's much more subtle.
I gotcha. So the famous Tubby Tabby has had a great weekend here in the United States box office with an estimated $31.1 million during its first 4 days of release. Directed by animated veteran Mark Didiol. Sony Akon's, I'm probably butchering, sorry. The Garfield film landed in the number 2 spot with Warner Bros. Mad Max prequel Furiosa. taking the top position with $32 million hauled in its first 4 days. So yeah, Garfield is apparently doing fairly well for its first weekend release. So that is all I have for info and stuff. Unless the rumors are true that
Godzilla minus one is coming out in the morning.
Yes.
So
So
it's very much a rumor. I have heard two different the first one I heard said it was going to come out on Amazon Prime, Vudu, and one other location. I don't remember what that one was. The second one I've heard is it's coming out on Netflix exclusively. I'm like, okay, we'll just see if this shows up. And like I said, it might be affecting our programming in the next 2 weeks.
just maybe. So yeah, that is all I have, and yeah, that might be interesting. Let's see, our podcast and a certain Monster Island Film Vault.
It's like the one would be with Godzilla minus one.
Of course.
It's like, oh yeah, and we're going to have Nathan James Norman from Untold Podcast come on and review that one. Oh, no, wrong Nate.
Yeah, wrong Nate.
Wrong Nate. And we're not bringing Roy on either. He wouldn't have seen it. But anyway, that is it for the news.
Yeah. And we don't have
this
TAS.
is so we have not. This is last week doesn't count because we didn't end quite like this,
right?
But it feels so weird after over a year of ending the episode with a review of an animated series episode to say now that's going to be it for us without hearing like the TV channel changing a couple of times and random songs playing. I could just play one of these randomly, but I won't.
You could, but also we'll be getting back that in August.
Yes, we are coming back in August with continuing our Spy Family thing. But so join us then for that and for the next couple episodes, which, like I said, next week is Galaxy Express 999. Which all I really know about it, like I said, is it's about space trains and a lady in a Russian hat. That's all I really know.
Gotcha.
So join us next week for that. In the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
You can follow Jacob on his Facebook at Jacob B. Heron. His Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where he tries to draw each and every day. His Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. His Twitter at Jacob Heron.
And his Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. You can find Drew on Facebook at Drew Dodgen.
His Facebook page, Drew's Photo Bin, to see his photography. His Letterboxd page at GGeorge759. His Twitter at GGeorge759. And Instagram at Drew Dodgen. You can like us on Facebook at the Cellcast Podcast. On Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming.
On YouTube at Cellcast.
On Twitter at cast_cell. The Cellcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts are downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us, and also on Podchaser. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. The Cellcast is a proud member of both the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information, please see the link in the description. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. And remember, that's Cell, with a single L.
Imagine how different this movie would be if after Marty got back from the past, he said something to the effect of, did I make it back? And all of a sudden the giant space burrito with the white olive comes out of the sky and is ionizing Earth's oceans and space whales, and no one's following me with this, are they?
Maybe. I am.
Okay, that's it. Thank y'all for joining us for this episode.
so much. Thank you.
We had a good time with this.
Yes, this was fun.
So yeah, join us next week for a movie I know nothing about that I will be acquiring later this evening.
So is that with a guest or not?
No, that's just us.
Just us. Okay.
Just us.
Just the two of us. Not in that way.
We can make it if we try. Just the two of us, you and I. But yeah, we'll catch y'all next week.
Yes.
I'm just gonna let y'all go. So